probably been more smallmouth bass caught on tubes than any other one single lure there is. It's a very versatile lure. You can flip it in thick grass with a Texas rig. You can fish it on a lead head. You can fish it on a drop shot rig. There's a lot of different ways you can fish the tube. But the main way is fish it with a lead head. You know, here you can see I've got my tie coming out back here instead of up here. So that leaves me a 3/4 of an inch little nose up here. That allows my bait to fall down naturally rather than dropping straight. I want it to look a lot more natural. There he is. Oh yeah. Come to daddy. Feels like a good one. Hard to tell on this rod. Just a good, nice little fish. We're gonna let him go. You know, tubes come in a lot of different sizes. You got small, you got medium, and you got jumbo. Kind of like when you go to buy minnows in a store. And just like minnows, sometimes the fish want a small minnow, sometimes they want a medium minnow, sometimes they want a big one. It's the same way with tubes. There's a reason for that, because sometimes the smallmouth want a big bait, sometimes they want the medium bait, sometimes they want a small bait. And I usually find the small baits work better when there's a pressured situation or cold fronts come in and things are really slowed down. I find when the fish are real aggressive, the bigger bait tends to work better. You've got to alternate around like that when you're fishing tubes too. You can't just take one tube and one weight and one size line and go out there and throw it. You just got to experiment. Yes, sir. Nice little tube bass. This is a great area for smallmouth. If you look down this bank, you'll see there's 3 or 4 points that jut out down through here. But the water goes from 12 and 13 right up to 6 or 7 and back down. If you move out a little farther, you got the same thing on that couple more foot of water. As you work out the point, a lot of times that'll establish where the fish are. So one thing about the smallmouth, if they're in 12 foot of water here, they're going to be in 12 foot of water over there today, more than likely. If they're in 30 foot of water, they're going to be in 30 foot. You're going to be able to catch them. Find you a place and pay attention to that depth finder and just work kind of a figure S-ing is what I call it. I'll fish on out that way into 25 foot, and I'll fish back over here into 6 foot. And I just keep going back and forth till I catch 1 or 2 fish, and that tells me the depth I need to be fishing in. Then I can just follow that contour depth, and I'm going to catch fish probably, you know, till that peters out. Preferably, I'd like to catch them on 8 or 10 pound tests, but a lot of times I have to use 6. I'd like to catch them on an 1/8 ounce weight, but sometimes I use a 3/8 or a 1/2 ounce. Just depending on the wind and how the fish want the bait. Do they want it right on the bottom? Do they want it swimming? Do they want it hopping? Usually a smallmouth on a tube, or he doesn't want a lot of action on it. He just wants it kind of moving along. You know, you take a jerk bait or something, again, you're ripping that thing through there. You'll see a lot of those fish come up there and look at it and swim off. And I found with a tube, if you just drag the tube, you tend to catch more fish than you do hopping it. But there is days when you're hopping it that you'll outcatch a dragger 10 to 1. Oh, yeah. So you got to experiment and alternate around when you're doing this. Find out what they want. I still say tubes is the best all-around smallmouth bait that's ever been.